deltoid, so for all of the deltoids, the primary action is abduction for all three of the muscle groups of the deltoid, right? So we're going to do the same active range of motion against gravity for all of them. So, John, I'm going to test your right arm, okay? So what I'd like you to do is just do what I do. So I'm going to have you bring your arm all the way up and all the way down, okay? He has full active range of motion against gravity. If he stopped short, I would need to know what his passive range of motion is to know if that's his full available range, right? And that's why we do strength testing after we do range of motion testing, is to help answer that question. So because he has full active range of motion against gravity, what I'm going to have you do now is I'm going to have you come up to this position. There you go. And just hold it there. Do you have any problems there? So this is the test position for the middle delt. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come behind you here. I'm going to push down, and I want you to not let me move you. Okay, so you're going to hold that position. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And relax. Good. And you can go ahead and relax your arm. So I would give him a 5 out of 5. Now, because I'm so weak, and particularly weak in my right arm, don't nod. I would be much better off testing him in a chair so that I have leverage. But I'm trying to apply resistance at shoulder height with an arm that isn't very strong. Okay? So I would be better off testing him in a chair. The rest of you wouldn't have that problem. Now, if I had him...
I have a question. Does the other hand matter?
So he was worried about how much resistance I was going to give him, so he was bracing. I was watching to see if he shifted his weight, and I didn't see him shift his weight at all, so he's okay.
Got it.
Okay.
If they do shift their
he
weight,
was.
would that lower their score?
Excuse me?
If they do shift their weight, would that lower their
No, I would redo the test.
Oh, okay.
I would redo the test. So yeah, he overestimated my.
He's really good at it.
So
Just like hit 'em.
So if I put him in the test position, if we went all the way up and then I put him in the test position and he was able to hold the test position, so go ahead and go back in that position. And as soon as I applied resistance, his arm fell, he would get a 3+ out of 5. If he wasn't able to hold the test position but he had full active range of motion, he would get a 3 out of 5. Okay? So now we're going to do a scenario where you don't get a 3 out of 5. Okay, so do you know what you have to do when you act? Alright, so I'm going to have you bring your arm all the way up. Oh, you don't have full active range of motion. Now we would need to know that his passive range of motion was farther than that, right? We would need to know that. Because if that was what he had for passive range of motion, we would go ahead and continue with the test. But we're going to say in this scenario that wasn't. So John, I'm going to have you go ahead and do is lie down on your back with your head at that end. Okay, so are you comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of one of those people. So I'm going to have you lead with your thumb, and what I want you to do is make a snow angel for me. So the same motion you did before, but I want to see if you have full range of motion. Can you go? There you go. Ta-da! He has full range of motion. So now he's a 2 or higher. So now I'm going to put him in mid-range. So John, what I want you to do is that same thing. You're going to try to move your arm up next to your ear, and I'm not going to let you, okay? So go ahead and pull up. There you go. And relax. They're saying you're strong, not me. So he was able to take resistance in this position, so he would get a 2+ out of 5, okay? Because he had full range against gravity, and he was able to take resistance. Now this time you're going to not have full active range of motion. So John, what I want you to do is make that snow angel again for me. Good. Now are you able to go any further than that? Okay. All right. So now he has partial range of motion, so he's going to get, but he did move, so he's going to get a 2-, and I'm not going to apply any resistance. Copacetic? Okay. Yeah.
How do you get a 3-?
A 3- is if he were here, he had full range of motion, and and he was able to give me that much resistance, but for whatever reason doesn't have full range of motion. The other way that you can get it is if you're looking at his full active range of motion against gravity, and he's almost there, but not quite, you might give him a 3- in that case too. Okay? All right. So now in the next scenario, when I had him stand and ask him to abduct, he wasn't able to lift his arm at all. So then we went here, and now John, I'd like you to bring your arm up, but don't move it at all. And it doesn't come out at all. So now he cannot get a 2 or even a 2 minus because there's no movement of his arm. So now I'm going to palpate his deltoid, and this is where palpation of the muscle bellies is important. It's not relaxed. So now I'm palpating here. I'm actually going to give him a little bit of resistance with my other hand. I want you to push out into my hand, okay? Go ahead and push out. Oh, and the muscle is contracting, right? And relax. So now he gets a 1. Now the reason I'm giving him something to push against is sometimes it's hard for people who have strength that's that low. They don't have the motor control to understand what you're asking them. And with some resistance, that it will give them more of a cue that you want them to push out, okay? Now, for a 0, I would palpate here, I would ask him to push out, there would be no movement, and I couldn't feel a contraction. Okay?
Could you have a 1 plus or a 1 minus?
No.
Yep. So we don't mess around with those below 2?
No. So you have the 2 minus, a 2 minus is quite variable. He could move just a little, or he could move almost the full range, and those are all 2 minuses, okay? But if he moves at all, it's in the 2 range, and if he doesn't move at all but the muscle contracts, that is a 1. Okay? All right, let me have you sit back up again for me. So that was for middle delt, or the general delt. We can also test the anterior and posterior delt. Now the deltoid is a 1-joint muscle, so according to Kendall, what is the optimal test position of a 1-joint muscle? For those of you who watch the video.
No, like mid-range.
Okay, we've covered the gamut except for the right answer. So you want it maximally shortened for a 1-joint muscle. So if it's delt,
What was it for a 2-joint?
mid-range.
Oh.
So I'm actually going to scoot down to the end here. There you go.
So the anterior delt and posterior delt are both Kendall class 1s.
So I don't remember the classes, but they're short.
Sure. Okay.
Short 1-joint muscles. Okay? All right. So similar to what we had for middle delt, where we just brought it here, we want to shorten those anterior fibers. Okay? So to do that, we want, how I think of it is we want to get those fibers to be perpendicular to gravity. So we're going to bring him back a little bit and up a little bit. Okay? Sorry, we're going to bring you forward, but then up a little bit. Right there. Now can you hold it there? Okay, so he's at least a 3+. I'm still going to push mostly down and a little bit forward. Actually, I'm sorry, push forward and down. Okay, got me on that question. Okay, we're going that way, and I'm going to hold for 6 seconds. Go ahead and relax. If on his general delt test, he didn't have full active range of motion against gravity, I wouldn't do any of these delt tests, right? Because they all are based off the premise that he has full active available range of motion against gravity, and all 3 tests require the same primary motion. Okay. Now for posterior, same position, except now we're going to drop down and back a little bit, and now I'm going to push. I'm going to pull this way. Okay, ready? And relax. Okay? So I'm going to have you all practice